that he then sees you. Oh, he told me to do it.
I don't have to use mic, do
You will with Zoom.
Oh,
I turn it off.
Oh. Hello? I think this is broken. No, it's green. Hello? Hello? Okay, we just won't do it, and if someone comes, then we can change it. Come on, more people are coming. We are.
You know I'm here to support.
I'm not here to support, I'm here to learn. Oh.
And learn. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, support, learn.
No support whatsoever. Just learning based. All right, well, we'll get started because it's 1:02 and we can just wait for everyone else. So this is how to master social media, and I want this to be like as interactive as possible because obviously everyone's at a different level, and I want to specifically be able to cater to your needs. So feel free to like stop me, ask questions, whatever. But this is just a guideline. So, about me, I am the marketing director for RedSign. For those of you that don't know that, for most of you do.
Wait, go back. You wanna see all your credentials?
So I got a degree in marketing and management from Oklahoma State, and then I worked for a private equity company where I managed 5 portfolio companies, and we did all in-house marketing for them. And now I'm on RedSign. So that's my credentials. So a little bit about what we're going to go over. So just kind of the table of contents. First, we're going to go over why social media. Talk about the success stories, where it can take you, the potential within it, how to build a brand, tips and tricks to capitalize and monetize your brand through social media, what a creator account is, how to create reels, and then what's upcoming or trends, right, for social media. Okay.
Sorry, Kaytin, can we use the mic?
So I guess I don't know if I need to stand up. Or I can just keep sitting up. Okay, so the main benefits for social media are to better support your brand image, to stay on top of mind, create a path of least resistance to your website so you can increase your website traffic, use user-generated content, targeted advertising, retargeting of a database. 60% of Instagram users say they discovered a new product from the platform. It's cost effective. It's essentially free for you to keep on top of mind for your clients, right? To keep your clients updated. It's a free platform for you to be able to utilize. To provide authenticity, and it also engages the community and helps you create customer satisfaction. A research study showed that 80% of people reach out to a business via a social media channel when they have a question or something about the service that it's being offered. And it also helps build your SEO, which, guys, is like super important. It's something that you need to focus on for sure. Just building your brand recognition.
Check the chat.
See if there's people on.
See if there's.
Looks like there are.
Also, the clicker's not working, so that's why you guys are on the right side. Sorry. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, you keep talking, I'll just pull the chat.
Chat box, middle
Yeah.
of. See down the bottom, middle is a red. Yep, right.
Hello? I don't think it works. Hello? Hello?
Let me fiddle with it while you use your
There's it
microphone.
on and off,
But
but
it's not-
hello? Hello?
Yep, that works.
Hello.
Working.
Testing, testing. Okay, good. You guys can hear us. Do we have to use the mic or not? It's on. Just leave this right here. Keep talking. Close the chat box.
Hello.
Okay, so those are those statistics that I just rambled off. It's also important to know the percentage of usage of social media channels based off of age, right? So as a real estate agent, every person targets a different demographic, whether if your specialty is first-time home buyers or if you're talking about investors. This is just a really good breakdown. So you can see like 18 to 29-year-olds, 71% of them are using Instagram on a weekly basis. 70% are using Facebook and 95% are utilizing YouTube. So that's just an important statistic to know if like you aren't putting any content on YouTube and knowing that you're first time home buyer in that age group and you're not, you want to make sure that you're putting forth your brand on every avenue that you can that best serves the demographic that you're trying to reach. So that's a good little breakdown of that. So just talking about success stories on like why you should use social media. It's just, we had an agent on our team that used social media, but very rarely and not to capitalize for business. It was more so like personal here and there, sporadic, but there was no consistency. And within 3 months of doing his social media, like with me helping him like post stuff about real estate, he has curated 5 potential deals of people that he didn't have in our CRM, people that he wouldn't have reached with any of the marketing, like for our 36 touch that I'm doing, because that was someone that wasn't in our database. We have another agent on our team where 80% of his business comes directly from social media. So there's a lot of success in it. Even as a team, year to date, we've generated 624 paid leads. And on top of that, we've generated 202 organic leads just from utilizing social media. That's just specifically to lead generation. That's on top of a metric that we can't really track, which is just staying on top of mind, right? That's something, it's like, oh, they see a post, they don't necessarily click on it and go to our website, but then 2 days later when they're looking to sell, they call us because that's how they remembered us. So that's a huge important aspect that you guys have to remember. And again, this is just a breakdown of like the KPIs of the metrics of why social media is great. It's increased our SEO 22%. It's also increased, we've averaged about 8,000 more website visits per month because of social media. Yeah, so that's just kind of the breakdown of it. Click-through rate. So I track, and this is just depends on how like in-depth you want to get, but there's metrics, which I will talk about later, for you to be able to view the insights of your social media. So you can talk about every time you do a campaign of something, a content that you're posting, you can track pre-campaign and post-campaign metrics to see like, is the time and energy you're putting forth in utilizing social media actually moving your business's needle? And we'll go over all the ways that you can track that later too. Does anyone have any questions on all that? That's kind of a lot, but that's just like the basics of like how to make money off of social media. Okay. And I talk really fast, so tell me to slow down if you guys need clarity on anything. So the biggest thing with social media is you have to have a brand that matters, right? If you are just sporadic and posting stuff and just trying to like hope something sticks, you're never going to actually get full market control or market share because you're trying to be a lot of things for a lot of different people. So if you can build a brand that matters and makes a difference, then you will actually start to see you make money off of it. So that's what we're gonna like, there's a personal brand, a team brand, like there's so many, like you have to think of you as an agent, you have a certain brand, a stigma to you. And that's what people think of. It's like the first initial reaction when they think of Clay Winder, like this is who he is as a person, as an agent, as a business owner. And it's just your first, like we'll go over how to create a brand too. But it's so much more than just a logo. Like a lot of times people think like a brand is just like, oh, this is our style guide. This is what we do. This is visually what a brand is, but it's also that whole like word of mouth. What are people saying when you're not in the room? That's your brand. That's speaking up upon your brand. So in a crowded market, not understanding your target customer and experience, all these factors may affect your ability to be successful, especially as a first-time business owner. It's easier to get carried away with overcomplicated strategies, but keep your sights on the core elements when it comes to building a brand. There's, again, like you look at all the most successful brands out there, Nike, Adidas, like all you can, I'm sure, think of millions of brands, Apple. They all had to start somewhere. And a lot of times we compare ourselves to those big name brands, but you have to compare yourself at a local level to other real estate agents and then kind of go from there. So don't try to, like, again, figure out what makes sense for you and what you're passionate about and what you like. And if you need help, like self-discovering your brand, I can send you a packet where it talks about like the questions that you should ask to figure out what your brand is. So the brand positioning statement is really important when it comes to running a business. And this is all tied into social media, because anytime that I am creating content for Red Sign Team, this is the framework that I'm referencing. This is like the foundation of what Red Sign stands for. So I want to make sure that all the content I'm creating is speaking upon this statement. So for example, our positioning statement is to wealth and legacy minded buyers and sellers. The Red Sign Team is a brand of consultative minded realtors that provide a service that focuses on you and not the sale, because we believe it is about your long-term vision and future and not just a transaction. Our mission is to help you build your legacy wealth for generations to come. So all that verbiage in there, I'm not on every post that I make on Instagram, I'm not putting that whole paragraph, but I'm taking that verbiage and utilizing it in different places. So every time someone sees legacy wealth, they're thinking of Red Sign. Everyone, different things for different parts. And so that's why it's important to come up with a statement that works. And like what you work, you can't be a luxury seller and a luxury real estate agent and a first-time home buyer. I mean, technically you can, but you're oversaturating yourself. So figuring out, where is my target demographic? What do I stand for? What do I provide will help you significantly in like starting to see revenue from your brand.
Can
Clay.
I add something?
Yeah,
When I
for
was
sure.
with Gary Keller a couple of weeks ago, he actually talked about, we were talking about personal missions and personal visions, and he did remind everybody, and it was a pretty established group of realtors. It wasn't like brand new realtors, but he still reminded everyone he on a regular basis has people say like, I don't really know what my brand is or my mission is or my personal vision. Like, it's just kind of airy fairy. And he kind of acknowledged and said, that's okay. If you're like especially if you're new and you're like, well, I just want to be the best realtor I can be. He says, great, adopt the KW. Like KW has a great mission, a great vision, a great, belief system, the Y4C2T is all that. He's like, just adopt those as your own. Like
For
that's
sure.
what, as a company, it has, but we can just adopt it. And so I got hung up on this a little bit in my early years. Like, I don't know what my brand, like I'm just want to be a great realtor. That's and it's just totally open. Like, don't feel like you have to go recreate this if you don't already have it. Just adopt KWs and run.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like so many resources and stuff to speak on KW's brand and mission statement. So if you need access to those, like reach out to me and I can forward those. But that just goes to the brand loyalty journey, right? There's endless amount of touch points between the awareness, opportunity, and loyalty within that journey. And those can also be capitalized on social media. So it's just, again, you just want to be speaking the same message consistently all the time, right? If you are diluting your message, then people are not going to know what you stand for. They're not going to know what you're doing. You're never going to start to see like reoccurring success from social media. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions on this? No, great. So in terms of like visually appealing too, it is important that your brand is consistent. So if you guys like, KW has a style guide that you can use, and a lot of the material that Keller Williams produces, it's all within that style guide. So if that's the path that you're wanting to take because you're kind of still figuring it out, I recommend going for that. But if not, for example, if you have your own team, you're looking to start your own team, or you just want to have your own brand identity as an individual agent, I would create a style guide, and it's really easy. It's just essentially you're coming up with your colors, your typeset, your logos, all different things, and it's in one packet. So then as you expand, as your business expands, say if you get a showing assistant, whatever, you just give them this Bible essentially where this is what they follow every time. And this makes it to where your brand is consistent, right? You just don't want to have 10 different colors, 10 different fonts. You're trying to figure out like, oh, this looks cool, this looks good. Because then people aren't going to like have that automatic identity of your brand. for example, like again, those big companies that I labeled, like every time you see Apple, you know, like you can just tell by the way that something's presented that that's Apple. And it's because they've created this brand in our mind that that's what it should look like. And that's how you should be treating your company or as an individual agent. And it's important too on your early days that you're like figuring this out, because it's like, there's nothing worse than like creating a bunch of content and spending a lot of time, but you're all over the place and then having to start over because you never accurately portrayed your brand. So these are just examples of stuff that I do to make sure that like we are always consistently not only speaking to our visual brand, but also just again to our mission statement of, you know, building net worth, helping people understand the real estate market, just continuing being an access to serve our clients through education. So that's why it's important that the content is just as good as the quality as the look of it, so to speak. Yeah, we have that. So now we're going to go over some tips and tricks on quick takeaways on like how to master social media. Because how many people feel like they know social media in and out and just excel at it? No one. Okay. Does anyone feel like they have a good idea? Oh God. I know. Yeah, I know.
It's just hard though, because like your very first slide, it is generational. Like
Yeah.
Me and Mark Zuckerberg are almost the exact same age.
Yep.
So like Facebook is my generation, all my friends. Like Facebook is still, because that's what we know.
Yeah.
It's funny, you showed the old people are still like big YouTubers.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then we got the Instagrammers. And then get all the TikTokers, right?
So there's just like, for those of you who don't know, like Instagram, Facebook, all these apps, they're constantly updating all their like out their algorithm, the accessibility, the different things within the app. So it's important, like that's why I wanted to take it and just like get, okay, here's the latest things that have come up and like how you can use this now as a real estate agent and really benefit from it. But really the biggest thing is, like Clay said, like you guys kind of all have your own pathway on like what you feel comfortable with. So my biggest thing is like, don't try and go now be famous on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, like pick which one you're comfortable with and really invest in that platform. Because if you're spreading yourself too thin, you're not going to see revenue from it. So there's endless opportunities like we saw in all these different platforms. It's just a matter of what can you truly invest your time in understanding, so then you can start like gaining market share within that platform. So a big thing to take on like with any of these platforms is you should define your target market. And I feel like this is just like business 101, right? Like you need to know who you're selling to. And if you haven't already done this just as a real estate agent, like this is something that you should just ask yourself these questions religiously. It's like, okay, who are the people, who are my clients? What age demographic do they fall in? Where are they located? What is their average income? What is their interest? All these things are how you can better utilize and speak upon through social media, is by knowing like how people are interested, right? Like think of all the accounts that you guys follow for fun. Like you have a certain way about you that like, oh, I love golf, so I'm following a bunch of golf accounts and those types of things. So it's like, okay, how can I best speak to the real estate interest within my, my audience? Then consistency, like if you guys don't already have a posting schedule, I recommend creating one, because all this is great and dandy, but if you are not consistent, like you're not going to see anything from it. And that's just the reality of, because these apps are constantly transforming, you have to be on top of it. And so like for us on Red Sign, like Instagram is a great platform where I'm getting leads. And so for me, it makes sense to spend time on really calendaring out when I'm going to post things. And you have to be very methodical about your approach, or again, you're just not going to see revenue. So just knowing like you should be, yeah. I lost it. You're good. It wasn't that
I was
important.
trying to raise it slowly. So
Yeah. No,
um,
you're good.
So I'm looking at this and difference between reels and stories. Can you talk about that?
I was actually going to ask that too. Well, I obviously know the difference, but I'm curious, who you think the audience, does the audience change between us? Like,
And how
user
do, like-
messaging change
So
between-
Instagram the CEO announced that the algorithm changes based on which one you're posting on. So there's a different, because it's curated based off of how that user utilizes stories versus reels versus scrolling through your feed. So there's separate algorithms for each of those,
For the
and-
poster or the consumer?
for both.
Like if I'm watching lots of reels, oh, I guess you're right, then it'll send me more reels.
Yep. So it's all like, there's a separate, and that's why it's important to understand like how the algorithm works individually for each of those. And I'm going to go over like, but essentially like your feed is like when you scroll on Instagram, if you guys have Instagram and want to open it up, we can make this an interactive thing. But so essentially like this is your feed, are these posts that are going when you're scrolling through on your main home tab, right? Does everyone understand that? The stories are up top. This is what a story is. It's only on there for 24 hours. So it's just something like my reference is like, if it's a really good quality image and you're like, oh, this would be like interesting to me. And it's like, I would stop scrolling to look at this, post it on your feed. But if it's something like, oh, look, we're doing a silly like something, or it's nothing that of importance, that's not necessarily speaking to your brand long-term, I'd post it on your story. So for example, every time we have a listing, I do a just listed graphic that goes on our story, or if we have a class, it goes on our story. But sometimes we have professional photographers that do give us pictures of an awesome listing that goes on our feed. And then a reel is essentially like, it's just TikTok, but Instagram. So does that make sense? It's just a bunch of short-term videos. So they used to have IGTV, which is Instagram Live, which is no longer a thing. And so that's what they transitioned to Reels, which is just 90-second videos that you can scroll through. And I'm going to go,
And then they stay on.
yep, and they stay on. And so you have the option to post your reel to your feed. And I recommend doing that. But so essentially, like when you're posting a reel, it is going out and it's it's geographically targeting people with similar interests in your area. So it is a great way to grow your platform, right? Whereas if I post on my feed, only the people following me are going to see that. So if you want to grow your business, like you should be posting videos and reels. And I'm going to go more in depth on how to do that later, but that's just something that,
I'm gonna be the boomer in the class.
yeah.
I should be those. I used to do lots of lives, like
Yeah.
Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Are reels essentially going to replace live? Because it's still, you can do a live.
Yep.
but
So
you
that's,
also can do reels, but I'm like, I don't understand why somebody would now do a live when reels exist.
and that's what he quoted stating like his goal is to make reels replace lives. And they're working on beta testing a feature where you can post a reel to like a story almost, but it's on your profile that like acts like a live
Does a reel have a time limit?
in 90 seconds.
See, that's
And they
the
just
difference.
upped it. It
Because
used to be
I've
60
seen people
seconds.
do 2 hour long
Yeah.
Facebook
Oh, yeah,
Lives.
my cousin's funeral was on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So, and that's, I mean, yeah.
So I guess that's the big difference, is that they're just like streaming a class or they're
Mhm.
shooting something live.
And they still will always have that feature. It's just not prioritized.
Well, I think that it's an attention thing too, but
Mhm.
the reels are meant for those that people just that want a quick 5 seconds. Those are the ones that are getting the biggest hits. Or the
Yeah.
10 seconds or whatever.
It's all about like the attention span of the human has drastically decreased over the years. So right now it's like very, very low. And so it's just like a live is great for someone like for Clay, he does lives at our events to his clients to say, hey, come out to our event. But that's not going to reach random people that are looking to buy or sell a house. Whereas if he posted a reel of a really awesome, like for Green Tech, we posted that reel on his, he had 20,000 views. So that's 20,000 people that saw this awesome builder that, and that's where he got leads from. So it's just a difference of like, yeah, live still works for certain benefits. It just is depending on what you want, right? If you're wanting to serve your current client or if you're wanting to grow your database.
Is a reel just strictly a video? You can't do anything.
Yep. So it's strictly videos. You can have photos in it, but you can't like say you have to say like link in my bio. Or what I do for Red Sign, if I post a reel, I then share it to our story and I put a link. So if I do a reel of the listing, then I'll share it and I'll put a link to the MLS link so I can capture those leads on our website. But they're looking on changing like features like that to where you can put links in the reel, but I don't know when that will be released.
So live is like run an event, come by, story, or sorry. A reel. We can go to 90 seconds. Have a little longer story, have a little more info you want to give.
Yeah, and like if you guys take away anything from this class, like this is my golden rule, like reels are what's gonna make a difference in your business.
Do a reel.
Yeah, like if
Try to
you,
keep it
if
short and sweet.
anything, just make reels. Like that's where like Instagram has released that they will prioritize reels over anything else. They're constantly saying like the engagement, it's like 22% higher on reels than, or 82% higher on reels than on feed, like posts. So it's just like videos are here, they're coming, they're saying. So it's, if you're gonna do anything from this class, I just recommend making reels. And I'm gonna go over like how to make them later, but if you need help on like a one-on-one on how to do it, like that's where your money's gonna be at. So posting schedule,
Hold on,
yeah.
back on the reel. Are you gonna touch on this later? Maybe I'm jumping ahead, but do you have a recommendation on it now for editing your videos?
Yep, I have that in my slides.
So tell me what is a reel though?
Okay, I was like, we can go there if we really need to. Okay, so this is a posting schedule for Instagram. So what I recommend, like if you guys aren't avidly using social media, put this in your calendar. Like, you know, the best times to post on Instagram are Mondays at 11, Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 10 to 1, and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 to 11. So put in your calendar maybe at 9:30 on Thursday to work on social media content. And then that way you can post it at 10 and then you're good to go. But if you're not like pushing yourself to post stuff, if that's not something that you're constantly doing because you find joy in it, you're not going to see success from it unless you force yourself to do it. And so utilizing these times when the engagement levels for the US specifically are the highest will best benefit you. And then we have Facebook. It's a little bit different. And it's just, it's all based on the algorithm, right? Because Facebook, it's very complex, and I'm not going to go into too much detail on explaining it, but just know like it does seem like these times are wacky, but it's going to best benefit you, I promise. Yeah.
I'm not waking up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, because like I know like my grandparents wake up at 3 a.m. every day and they get on Facebook their first thing that they do. So it's because of that generational gap. And it's because it's like if you're the last one, it kind of backtrack. Yeah.
Wouldn't you say though that certain content should be posted at different times? Like at 3 a.m., do they really want to, I don't know, look at real estate as opposed to, I don't know.
Well,
You
you
know
just
what I
have to
mean?
think for Facebook, like Instagram and Facebook are very different. Like, and Instagram is changing back to the original algorithm of chronological order, whereas Facebook, it's very different. And so a lot of times, if you guys probably notice this when you're scrolling, you're not looking at the times of things that are posted. You're just kind of scrolling through and looking at people based off of like who you engage with the most. And so they're not going to see that it was posted at 3 a.m. They're just going to see it because it's not as heavily influenced on like the chronological order, if that makes sense.
Do you mind going back really fast to Instagram?
And I can send these to you if you want me. If for everyone that's here, give me your email after and I'll send them to you. I'll send them to you, Caroline. Okay. So with that, oh, actually I missed a portion. Just this is important to note compared to last year, there are a few more off times for Facebook when reviewing the data. Weekday, very early mornings and mid mornings still show more consistent engagement and have become much more opportune times for brands to get eyes on their content. So again, it's just those times. Okay, so how often you should post? Really, the biggest thing is consistency, like I said. So you should be posting 1 to 3 times a day. And I know that seems like a lot, but utilize stories for this, because if you guys don't already know, Instagram and Facebook are under the same parent company. And so they can be integrated together. So if you post a story on Instagram, then it will go to Facebook, and then you're covering your basis, and that's, one for each. And it doesn't need to be like, you can reshare content. Like if you're like, how can I create content for 3 times a day? Go follow like Keeping Current Matters, go follow all these real estate related data focused companies that you can reshare that's still like very beneficial for your clients to see. But then also like post when you're with your friends, or post when you're like having a cool lunch. Like don't feel like you have to, it doesn't need to be one or the other. You need to properly intertwine both. Because you think that, oh, all my friends know that I'm in real estate. The reality is they probably know 20 other agents that are also in real estate. So you just want to be that person that's showcasing, like, I know what's happening in the market constantly. I'm constantly reminding you that I'm in real estate because that's going to best benefit you. But also people love you and they follow you because of who you are as a person. And so they want to see, they care more, they're going to care more. And that's why your engagements for your real estate posts versus like when you post your children are going to be much higher. It's because obviously they're following you because they love you and they care about your children, but it's a good reminder to showcase that you're in real estate.
So does this post in your mind include stories and reels as well
Mhm.
as regular?
Like everything. So
Everything
usually
combined.
typically in my, like for Red Sign, like I post 3 to 4 times a week, a reel or in our feed. And then usually 3 times a day is a story. So, this is just like a good metric. This is like the bare minimum you should be doing. So even if you're just posting like 1 story a day, that's better than nothing. I would recommend not to overcrowd your feed, because that's when you'll start to lose interest for a lot of people. If you're posting on, like, stories are great and they definitely have priority over your feed because like people like to click through things fast. And so it's great for you to like just throw something up to have it up there. But if people are annoyed because you have 6 posts in the last 6 days, like you're going to lose followers. So I recommend if you're like, well, if this is not that great of a quality, then putting it in your story rather than your feed. Yes.
Do you spend much time systematically or regularly trying to feed create content? I guess the biggest example is in the early days of Facebook, I would oftentimes use a little tool where it would go scrub my address book
Mhm.
to like friend people in my address book. That's how I got other realtors and people across the country and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I haven't done that for years. I don't know if that's
No, that's something you should definitely like. And that's where I'll talk about like the next slide on how to hack their algorithm, because like you should be constantly trying to grow your database, right? Because this is more money for you. And so you need to focus on metrics like following versus superficial metrics, like how many likes I'm getting on a post or things. It's like how many people are either engaging with your content, and when you create a creator account, which I will explain in a little bit, like you can see a whole breakdown of like who's non-followers versus followers that are showing your content, people that are showing interest, potential followers, and things like that. It is like, again, it's important to do it, but I wouldn't necessarily like, the biggest thing with is just re-engaging the people that are already following you. So I wouldn't buy followers because that's not servicing you at all, but I would definitely go and like find people that you're like, these are potential business clients that I could,
well, the home run is if people share your posts.
Yes.
Then you get then other people might want to follow.
So with that, we'll talk about how to hack the algorithm. And so this is for like, this is just a good general practice, no matter what happens. Instagram, like it's all about engagement. So if you notice when you go on Instagram or Facebook, you'll look at stories and it's like, oh, it's always like my closest people are first, like my husband or my best friends that I'm always sending things to always pop up first. And there's a reason for that. It's because Instagram prioritizes someone that you're interacting with more. So for example, so like the number one way for you to get on top is to send a post to someone. So say if I like send a funny meme to Kaytin, then all of a sudden Instagram's like, wow, they must be really close because she's sending her content. So we're going to put her on top. If you are commenting, that also is great. And then liking it helps, but not as much because there's so many like metrics. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like for those of you that are trying to grow your database and trying to get market share within your network, this is something that I would do, like literally calendar it either at night or early in the morning, where you're just going through and you're liking 5 posts a day, you're commenting on 5 posts a day, you're sharing 5 posts or reels to 5 different people, and you're following 5 new people a day. And this is something that's like super easy. It literally will take you 5 minutes. And I would just go and like find accounts of people, like go to your grandma, or not your grandma, because she might not have Instagram or Facebook, but go to like, say your mom, and go see who she's friends with, and just scroll down and friend everyone that you like also know that would want to be friends with. So it won't take you very long, and it's going to take you a little bit to get in the rhythm of it. But I promise you, like, this is going to make a huge difference, because the way that you're going to spend a lot of time on curating content, and you're like, wow, this is so awesome. I know this has a high value to my people, but they're not going to see it if you're not engaging with them. So go out of your way to constantly engage with them and send them things, because I promise it will pay off, and then they're going to see it more often. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to go over a few do's and don'ts of Instagram. Yeah, Clay's on the don'ts. So the biggest thing is to have a clean and concise bio. Like if you have a million emojis and like a bunch of different verbiage, like that's just not the way that Instagram's heading. It's very like, you want to show like what you do for a living and like very brief. So try and keep that shorter, the better. If you don't know what, does anyone not know what Linktree is? No, great. You all know what it is. Have one of those in your bio because that's a great way for you to drive traffic to different places for you to capture those leads. Have aesthetically pleasing highlight icons. If you guys don't have like highlight icons, that's something that you should do. You can literally Google Instagram highlight icons and you can find some and just take some from Google, or you can buy some from like Etsy or something. But that's just a great way for your profile to look more like, this is like, you have to think when someone's like, they're viewing like someone's going to do business with Kaytin, like this is their Google review page. It's going to her Facebook or going to her Instagram. And this is their first impression of who she is. So this is important that you like, it's very like you're presenting yourself in the best light possible. Do you focus on engagements rather than followers? Like we said, like it is important to have followers, but again, that's not a matter. It's a matter of engagement. Do you post videos over photos, and do actively engage with other people? So Instagram don't. So don't use a link in a caption. Like Clay loves to do is put links in captions, but people can't copy and paste that and people can't click on that. So if you're like, okay, well, people can't click on it. So, and they're not gonna like scroll back and forth from Google in this.
That's what you do on Facebook all the time.
Yes.
People do that all
Yeah,
the
so that's the biggest thing with Instagram versus Facebook. And that's why I don't have our account, like I don't automatically syndicate our Instagram posts to our Facebook posts because of this feature. Because I will post a house, like say we got a listing, got beautiful photos. I'm gonna post on Instagram. I'm gonna say link in bio to learn more. Whereas on Facebook, I'm just gonna post the link to that MLS to our website. Does that make sense? So then when people are clicking on it, they have to put in their information, so I'm capturing those leads. Does that make sense? Okay. Don't have your profile on private because if you are wanting to post reels and grow your network and get a ton of new clients, you're limiting yourself by posting it on private because no one can see it but your followers. So make sure you're on public account. I also recommend not having a separate business and personal because like you have to own your identity as a real estate agent. Like that is who you are. That's what you do. And you are just diluting your potential pool by being like, oh, this is my life account, but this is my business account. So I recommend having one because you're just not going to get enough engagement on your business account. Don't overuse hashtags. Don't post pixelated images. Like just there's sometimes people just like post things that are cropped weird or pixelated, or just make sure like you're like, oh, this is a good image. Like this, again, this is your Google review. And so you want to have it and shown in the best light. Don't be lazy. A lot of times people will post a TikTok and then post it on Instagram Reels or vice versa. But those watermarks trigger in the algorithm to not get priority. So if you're doing that, because it's like, I know for me, it takes a long time to like post a TikTok. And I'm like, does it really necessary for me to recreate that on Instagram? It is, because you're going to get way less views or engagements if you have that watermark on it, because it's like a flag in their network. And don't overuse emojis. Okay, does anyone have any questions about don'ts? Yeah.
I got a question. I just want to remind everyone that I'm wearing the broker hat now. I've only been fined a few times by the Division of Real Estate, and it was always because I just didn't identify brokers well enough. You guys know what I'm talking about. As a licensee, you have to identify Keller Williams Westfield Real Estate. And in the early days of this, they wanted it on everything, like literally like your Facebook homepage. And it was a mess because everyone's like, no, that's like personal, not business. And they said, well, if you even mention anything about soliciting listings or real estate, you have to identify it. And it was a mess for like a year and a half, 2 years, until finally they came out with a new rule, which still stands today, which is it has to be one click away. And so that's why Linktree is really nice, because for a while I just had it in my about page on Facebook or like your bio on Instagram to identify I'm affiliated with KW Westfield, Keller Williams Real Estate. But Linktree does solve that.
Yep.
But you do have to have it, and I'll tell you, most agents don't even have that.
And you'll get
And
fined.
like, the division they'll get you. It's like a $300 to $500 fine if you're not working for it.
Awesome. We got to go fast because this is where all the good stuff is going to happen right now. We're going to talk about stuff. So who's on a creator account? the people in red sign that we talked about it with. So if you're not on a creator account, I'm going to talk about what it is and why you need to do this right now, because this is going to benefit your business more than anything that you can do on Instagram. So essentially what a creator account, they released this at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And so essentially it allows you to have more people see more in-depth follower growth insights. So you get again, as you guys are very familiar, like the rise of influencers over the past few years has been a very big thing. They're very different than a business. So that's Instagram was like, okay, how can we best serve these influencers? And that's how you kind of have to view yourself as an influencer. And so essentially what you are able to do is you are able to see like your reach within your followers versus your non-followers. It offers a new features to go get deeper metrics and offer priority in the algorithm of the explore page. So if you're on a creator account and you post something, if you're on a regular account, that's not going to go to the explore page. But if all of a sudden you're on a creator account, then you're getting priority in the explore page. So that just allows more and more people to be able to find you. And then it also offers tools and resources not available to other people. So essentially, if you are saying that you are an Instagram creator, now all of a sudden the like CEO of Instagram that's putting out like, here's how you can like roll the algorithm, or here's how to make an awesome reel. Like you're getting access to that other people aren't, because you're, again, have that tag. So if you guys want to, we can kind of walk through it on how to do it real quick. Essentially, you just go to Instagram, and then you will click the top right corner with the 3 lines. And yell at me if you need to slow down. And then you'll click settings. And then you'll click account. And then you will click add a new professional account, or switch to professional account if you don't have one. And then you're gonna like click 3 steps, and essentially what you're gonna type is you're gonna put like your business as a real estate agent. And so that's now gonna auto-populate to your profile of you are an agent. So when people are looking for something within the SEO of real estate, your name will pop up, your business will pop up. And then you'll click creator, not business. And then once you do that, you can walk through and you can see a bunch of different offerings on with being a creator account. Like you can see ad tools, you can see insights. Did everyone get it? Did everyone not get it? Great. Huh? I got yours, Clay, already set up. Okay.
It is interesting, like, when you post things, I will pretty frequently go in to see what the numbers look like, how many people it engages versus followers, non-followers. If I pick up any follows, anyone follows the account because they watched a reel. Like yesterday, there was 3 people that followed me from something that posted. Like it is interesting just to see the data behind actually posting, how that can change.
Well, and it's just like a motivational factor, like to see like it is making a difference, because it is very time consuming to post a reel or to do like create content. And so to see like, oh, every day I'm, that number's going up, even if it's slightly, like it is making a difference. And so you can kind of justify there is an ROI there with your time. Does anyone have any questions about a creator account? Okay, now we're going to talk about reels and all the fun things you guys need to know to just go crush it out of reels. So in 2022, 82% of all online content will be video content. That's a very important number to know. Like this is where the world's heading again. Like I said, 82% of content, that's everything, will be videos. So why reels? So again, content on Instagram reels get 22% more engagement compared to regular videos on Instagram. So if you post a video on your feed and don't post it as a reel, you're less likely to get more engagement. And then Instagram reels can geographically target your audience with similar interests, allowing you to reach outside your direct network. Instagram will now prioritize videos over photos. 60-second, well, they just updated it this month, 90-second time limit for reels for like enabling you to tell a better story about your brand. A photo can only do so much versus a video allows you to really just like expand that story about who you are, what your company stands for. Reels are seen in the Explore page where 50% of users go to discover new content. Instagram Reels beat all other short video apps when it comes to engagement, having a global average of 53 minutes of viewing time per session. It is really crazy to hear that, like, just seeing charts of like how much time is actually being spent on Instagram Reels, and it's astronomical. And so that's just an easy lead capture form for you guys. And it's important to know, like, especially in Utah County, the market isn't saturated. Like there are very few real estate influencers, so to speak, that are really capitalizing on Reels. And so that's where I encourage you guys to really like take control of this avenue, because I guarantee you could see a lot of success from it because no one else is doing it at a high level. So again, but you kind of have to be the first to be able to like gain full market share. So if any of you guys want to start doing that, you can make a lot of money, I promise. So how to make a successful reel. The biggest thing is you need to make sure like who like kind of knows what a reel like. Do I need to explain more about a reel, or do you guys feel like you have an understanding? Okay. So essentially it's short term, they're 90-second videos of like any content, and it goes out, and people, based off of the videos that you like, then you have your own personalized algorithm. So if Kaytin is going in and liking a bunch of house videos, now Instagram's like, oh, she's looking for a house, whatever. So we're going to target her with these types of content. So for you to be able to there's other things that you can also do to make sure that you're getting in front of people. And using trending audios is like one of the most important things that you can do. So just like taking the time to either go through and you'll see like an arrow on any audio that's trending, or you can also just like click on the add audio box, and you can see there'll be any, like, scroll down, you can see tons of audios that are currently trending in the whatever market you're in. And that just helps because it's like, oh, this is really popular. People want to see this type of video regardless of the content. It's all about the audio for that. Stay in the safe zone. A lot of the times I see people, and it drives me up a wall, people post a reel, but then it's like they have their wording cut off or it's not aligned. And so again, that's just speaking upon your brand, and it's just like it doesn't look great because you can't read what you're saying. So make sure that like you're very methodical on how you're putting different words and things so that you can see it and it's within that safe zone. Again, do not post a TikTok on Instagram. Kind of already talked about that. You're not going to get priority. Lighting is very, very important. Instagram will see a well-lighted video. It doesn't matter if it's the exact same content. If one's well-lighted and one's not, you're going to get priority with the well-lighted one, because again, it's just like bright content for some reason in the Instagram algorithm is better. So make sure that you are, if you're taking a video of yourself, use a ring light, or if you're doing a house, make sure all the lights are on, or it's a good time of day, that type of thing. And a really like awesome avenue for real estate agents, like we sell one of the coolest things. We sell homes. Like who does not love to look at awesome homes, right? Like that's just such a fun thing that no matter if they're never going to buy or not, you're still able to capture people, because it's way better than selling like, I own a garbage truck cleaning service, right? So people want to look at cool homes. So that's something that if you guys aren't, every time you go show a house, show up 5 minutes early and take it like a home tour and post that. I promise that's going to make a huge difference in your business, because that's like way better than you posting graphic about like market stats and what's going on. Because the reality is, if that person's not looking to buy or sell right now, they don't care what's happening in the market. But all of a sudden, if you post a cool home video, they're gonna watch that. So recommended, like your iPhones, if you have an iPhone, those are great for posting. Making sure that you are using a 0.5 angle, because everyone know how to do that on the iPhone. So you just zoom out, and that just allows you to capture the whole house, and it also stabilizes the video. And then the app that I use to edit videos is called Splice. It's $70 for the whole year. But it's great. It allows you to speed things up, especially with home tours, because you could take a home tour and it could take you 4 minutes, and no one wants to watch that. So you have to be able to speed up at certain points, but then also slow down and like the highlight key points of the home. So Splice is really great. It's really user friendly. It doesn't take like time at all to actually learn how to do. Use text, but think in bullet points, not paragraphs, right? Like, for example, like if you see like they use juicy hooks, like you don't want to like write a whole paragraph because people aren't going to have time to read that. So make sure like either you're doing text to speech where it's talking, or you're being very short in the actual text that you're doing. Because if Instagram sees a novel, again, that's just like a trigger, a flag in their book to not give you priority. Create unique content. If you are copying content of other people, it's a flag, and that doesn't help you grow your database. Transitions are very important, and there's like a ton of classes that you can actually take on how to do Instagram transitions, and it all goes to the short attention span of us as humans. You just have to constantly be changing your background, changing what's happening for people to be engaged. So transitions are a great way, and if you just ever want to play in it, like that's a lot that you could do with it. Find a niche and stick to it. Again, like you don't want to be like, I'm a first time home buyer or I'm a luxury agent. Like figure out what you like and really stick to that. And then use juicy hooks in the first 3 seconds of your video. So it's like top most expensive homes in Utah, like what to know about whatever. You need to do something that's enticing to your audience to keep them watching more. Because a lot of times you have to think these people are scrolling really fast. And if there's not something in that initial 3 seconds, you've already lost out on their attention. Does anyone have questions? Yeah.
Yeah, so when you do like a video of a showing at a home, is that like, does it break the rules at all? Is it legal if it's not your home? I mean, what's? Yeah,
That's a
give us
broader
an insight
question.
on that.
A lot of times, like it depends. So like, for example, some agents have said you have permission to market this home. And usually like we'll ask the agent, like if it's not our listing, we'll say, do we have permission to post this? And they say yes or no. So I think it really just depends. I don't know, like legally, if you're liable.
I got you. So the broker answer is very much, you can't claim it to be your own listing.
Yeah.
Like you almost, and I would even say go above and beyond and give credit. So like, because the way the agreement works is you can advertise other listings through IDX, right? So that's why we all have our own website. You know, you've got your website that has your name on it, and you have IDX. So that's an IDX agreement, and it's managed by the MLS. So if you were to like put on KSL or Facebook Marketplace somebody else's listing and say, call me if you want to see this house, and you present it as if it's your own, you will absolutely be in violation and you'll get fined. But if you share it and say, hey, this is so-and-so's listing, and I would go as far as get permission to share it. Facebook's pretty easy to share listings if you're sharing an IDX listing. So if you like copy a URL for the big Mauer Mountain Mansion, and it's a URL to your kw.com or Redsun, your IDX website, that's totally fine, because when they click on it, it's the IDX listing. But if you're making a video like we're talking about, you're just out in a listing making a video, you do need to acknowledge.
And normally, like what I will
give it
do,
credit.
and like what I told Stetson to do, is like in the video, you don't have to necessarily give credit, but in the comments, so people aren't like, I would do like the caption, like this is the listing I just hit the market, blah, 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 and then like space down and then say listing by, and it's really small, so like 99% of people won't see it, but then legally you're covered.
Yeah, and err on the side of like positivity.
Yeah.
We have had multiple like legit lawyers involved, from agents talking shiz about houses when they're walking through a house thinking they're funny, and that literally gets screen captured and sent back to the owner, and then the listing agent of that house like comes after us. We've
Yeah.
dealt with that probably once or twice a year.
That's why I
in the last few
recommend
years.
like never really talking about a house unless it's positive. Like just use music. Like there's a reason that trending audios like helps your video. Like just put music, because no one, it's your personal opinion regardless. Like, and so you just want to again err on the side of positivity, because everyone has a different style when it comes to homes. Everyone can afford different things. So rather than you just talking about it, like just put music. 'Cause
Well, you can
that
wreck
helps.
your reputation. The big one we had
Yeah.
last year was the big Alpine home. They have a rock in the center of their living room, like a granite rock that they built the house around, and it looks super weird, but the family
That's like that. Yeah.
liked it, and there was something almost spiritual about the rock or something. And one of our agents went through and was like, why would you ever do that? Like, just like doing a Facebook video, and it went all the way back to the owners. They were so livid. They wanted to like sue KW and go, because it was like just talking trash about our house. Like we gave you permission to show our house, not film it. So you violated our privacy. It was just this whole thing. So just
Yeah.
be careful going. And as we stay positive, you usually don't have an issue. But
Do you have a question?
I was gonna say yesterday, I had an agent reach out to me to feature my listing on their page, which is something they do. We had a really good conversation, now if that agent ever wrote me an offer, I'm gonna remember them.
Totally.
Yeah.
And how they featured it was like, awesome. It was
It's
amazing.
classic.
And then they tagged me in information.
Because most people, I mean, obviously they want people to see their listing, so there's very few times when they're gonna say no, as long as it's done in a professional manner.
But it is great content. Becca, 2 years ago, or was it just last year? She did that big Montana ranch and it went totally viral, like tens of thousands.
Well, and
of
there's
views.
so many, like,
Yeah.
even like,
Remember that?
Yeah,
Like,
she had like hundreds of thousands of views or something.
Yeah, it was
And
like,
her business page now has like 30,000 followers or something because of that one video.
well, and
it's just
that's
a
where,
big,
yeah.
dope
It's like
ranch.
yeah.
And I think she just said like, who would want to live, who would want to, I can't remember what her post was very basic.
Yeah,
but, like,
super easy. It's like, check out this.
Again,
massive
that's
mansion or
like, you
something.
see so many, like, if you look at the top real estate companies and you go to their pages, it's just them posting basic videos of houses, because that's just a cool thing.
Usually cool.
Of cool houses, yeah. If you post a 3-bedroom condo, you're probably not gonna get as much engagement unless it's like really cheap. So that's just something like, yeah, go to Park City, look like all the homes, like reach out to some of those top agents that have like $10 million homes. Even with the Parade of Homes coming up is like a great opportunity. Just buy one of those, like, what's it called? The swivel thing that it allows you to stabilize your videos, and just go to the Parade of Homes and take a ton of videos of those, because that's like, when we post those on Instagram for Red Signs TikTok, like we get so many views. It's just because it's an awesome home. So that's an easy one to do coming up, and you don't have to have like permission. Obviously, you can post a builder, but we got to go fast because we're almost on time. But we're going to talk about the latest trends and like updates with Instagram. A new one is the collaboration feature. Does everyone know what that is, or does anyone?
It's like the whole reason I came to this class and you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Well, because you kept talking. So no, essentially what this does, this is a great feature, especially like as a team, as an individual, like if you have a showing assistant. So what it allows you to do, it allows you to essentially, like you can see, when you go to tag someone, you add collaborator. So for example, if Clay went and added his wife as a collaborator, it would post on both of their feeds. So then that way it allows you to then, now you're, instead of just reaching all, 5,000 people that are following him, you are also reaching all the people that are following his wife. And so but it looks as it's one post. So it says in collaboration with, you have both of their feed. So you get double the amount of the engagement, double of everything. So it's really great. And they are talking about releasing a feature to where you can do, right now you can only do one collaborator, which kind of stinks, but they are in the works of beta testing, having multiple collaborators. So then as a team, like for us, I could post one post, but then I could invite every single agent on our team to be a collaborator, and they just accept that. And now instead of only reaching our Red Sign network, we're going above and beyond. So it's the same concept of Facebook with sharing a post. So it's really awesome. So like anytime you're posting with your friends, like collaborate with them, because you're just gonna all of a sudden, now it's like, oh yeah, I knew that person. Why wasn't I following them? And so you're just gonna gain followers, you're gonna gain engagement. And it's super easy. It takes 2 seconds. Yeah. So
How do you make somebody a collaborator though? Is it when you're making the
So it's when
post?
you, yeah, it's so you can collaborate right now in feed, posts, and reels. You cannot collaborate in stories. They're still releasing that. So they've released it in some states, but not others. So you can, when you go to tag someone, either in a reel or a post, you'll say invite collaborator, and then you'll send it to them, and then they have to accept it. So like, for example, when we did our Red Bash, I invited Clay as a collaborator because he was in a lot of those images, but it wouldn't post to his feed unless he accepts it. So that's just something, like whoever you're talking with, you just have to explain it to him. But it's just, again, it's a great way to just expand your reach.
So you just do that with one person, right?
Yeah, right now you can just do one, so it's per post. Yep,
I'm doing a test, so where is it? You can still tag people.
click tag people,
Oh, it's under tag people.
and then you see invite collaborator.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of hidden.
And so that's really great. Like, I know a lot of like couples that do it, a lot of like business partners. It's just a great way to just like, again, double down on your business. So the main reasons are discoverability and engagement. When you create collabs, you're making it easier for people to find you and interact with your content, right? Text to speech for reels, that is a quick, and again, I'm gonna send these slides. I know it's kind of hard, but that's something that's new. Instagram, it's the year of accessibility, right? There are a lot of people with disabilities that social media is not necessarily speaking to. And so the text to speech is an awesome upgrade that allows you to help those people. And it's just a great way to up your engagement. Links to stories. If you guys didn't already know that every single person or used to, you had to have 10,000 followers to be able to post a link in your story, but now you can. And I recommend any story that you're posting, you should have a link in it to it, because that is gold for getting people to your website, which is then getting you leads, which is then getting you business. So I recommend you should be posting a link in every story. You can also, now they actually just released, like yesterday, you can pin photos to your feed. So essentially what that's like is that, I'm trying to think of what the replication of it, but so you just put your top photos on your feed. So those are going to be the 3 images people are always going to see regardless of the timeline of when you posted it. So TikTok has this, it's just a great way. So like your top videos or your coolest thing, like it just allows you to further expand on like what you stand for in those 3 posts. So that's a really cool feature.
It's like MySpace conference.
MySpace, stop friends with yourself. Yeah. Now 90 seconds instead of 60 seconds. They just Instagram Reels released a new immersive experience. So they changed their format of Reels. It used to be smaller, but now it's that 9:16 pixelation. So just essentially it covers full screen. So it feels like it's more, in an immersive experience. So that's great. So when you're using Reels, like know what that format is, and that's how you should be taking your videos, dependent on like the editing app. Like in Splice, when I use Splice, I can post it to format Instagram Reels or TikTok or Facebook Live. Like there's different variations of the sizing. And again, like I kind of already mentioned, the CEO just announced this year that they're changing the format of the algorithm to where it's chronologically based, but you also have the option to change either for like your following, which would be chronological, or you can just like do an explore section where that's based on like content that you've already engaged with. And then need to learn paid advertising. So if you guys, especially as individual agents, if you're not utilizing paid social media advertisement, you're definitely detrimenting your business, because there's just so much potential. And the way that it's, because everyone's doing it, we're now at this point where you're not going to get organic reach because people are paying, so many people are paying for it. So if you don't know how to do paid advertising, that's again where being a creator account, there's like classes that you can take, there's videos that you can watch to learn how to like capitalize on that. But the fact remains that the average organic reach for Facebook posts is 5.2%. That means only 5% of your followers may ever see your post if you don't put any paid budget behind them. So just know, like with Facebook, 5% of your people are seeing your post unless you prioritize it by paying for it. And it's really small. I mean, I think our average per campaign for Red Sign is like $25 to $35, and it makes a huge difference. It increases that number from 5% to 30, 40%. So, and it's just a matter of, are you willing to put in the time and effort to actually learn how to optimize PPC campaigns? Okay, what questions do you guys have? I know it's like 2:04. That was a lot of information.
Where do you go for like to find out trends on this stuff? Is there a website to follow or
So because I've worked with a lot of marketing agents in the past, I just have groups. And so,
I mean like for Instagram, like
Yeah.
Google, right? Like go through the trends,
Yeah.
search trend, maybe all about that, whatever. Is there like a website like just for that? Instagram?
Yeah. And I can send it to you.
Send it to me too.
Yeah, so there's a company, it's essentially Instagram, that releases, like it's every time they do any sort of update or trend, or they like give you the dynamics of where people are spending time, like it gives you a full breakdown of what's happening and what's coming up. So it's really interesting. Any other questions? If anyone wants the slides, you can come up and I'll get your email and I'll make sure I send them to you. Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Okay, so you just want to put your email.
So you got my email.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Should have just sent out your number and everybody texted.
Oh, yeah, that was.
Next time.
Oh,
Is this sound about that?
Yeah, it's really sad, especially with flipping, like you guys, and I tell Taylor this all the
I
time.
maybe utilize
You are-
it quite a bit. but
I see so many, like, I know people that are just like, they have million plus followers because all they do is flip. I mean, it's like, you guys could, you're just missing out on so much. So I need to sit down with you and Taylor and just like show
we
you
need
how
have,
to do
like,
it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Get some insight on like this. Yeah, I feel like we're missing out quite a bit on. this side.
But it's just like, that's something like, it's just different than just a normal house where it's like, people love to watch, like, you know, a succession story. So it's just like really cool to see like from point A to point B.
No, for sure. That's what's gonna do it. Yes.
Yes, I have, I have everyone on red side.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Cause we're like, those trusses were like 5,300.
I'm excited for, I'm glad Jess came in this way. I have so, like,
I feel like she'd be good at this. Like, she just, you know, I feel like this is
So-
not her. Like, this is something she can sell out for sure.
yeah. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Here's this part with Jess. From like, well,
I'm just going through, finished going through these weeks for the last month. I touched base with Arby and said to look through this whole year's worth of weeks
to find out where that social media. So I'm kind of curious to see her thoughts on that. I think she will like license with me. And then she can give her this is what we have. That we're on the website. On this website, we can have business time.
Well, even like with your podcast, like you guys should be starting social media channels and then just having collaborations with you. So then it's just like people who follow you are not going to see that, oh, it's the same podcast that come on. And then we're also like working on like team database manager. Essentially, is going to be someone that's going to help you code, play, and our team database. Like it's just going to be that kind of someone with hospitality focus that's like not nursing. It's a problem with like for like the salesman. But we need like just like a someone that just is good at helping people.
Yeah.
Like someone like Jess that's just going to like be able to call your database for you. So, like, help you type mentality versus like just trying to get business. And so like that I think is kind of huge. So then your wife can then not focus like that. We can have that for you and something like that. And your wife can focus on your business. So, that's the plan because like yeah.
I almost think I have her like it's been long enough, like 4 years since I've had her. Like I need to have her like check that against the account. Supply tab just for her. Somehow get a lot. I'm gonna start teaching some classes. Some of the some parents and so have like I have closer.
It's just I feel like you're just spread in a million different places.
Yeah.
So it's really again, it's just it's hard to be 100% with
So I actually met with John yesterday. Got it. Actually, their account. But I just want to see like Jess in the end wants to just go be a psychologist. Like she wants to be a counselor that helps people that way. But I know, or I believe